new national crime stats show there is a 4% drop last year. And you know what? On paper, that's progress. But it doesn't always match what people feel on the streets. So I guess the question is: are we safer, or are we just told that we're safer in our streets? And ladies and gents, we'll unpack the numbers and dig into the disconnect between the actual numbers that were being presented and public perception.
All right, and let me go to my special screen because we do have some graphics here for crime. Okay, so this is from the stats for 2024, and of course the source is Statistics Canada. And we'll begin with the volume and severity of police reported crime last year down 4%. Nonviolent crime, property, and drug offenses down 6%. Motor vehicle thefts, look at this one, down 17% since 2023. And those decreases follow 3 years of increases.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went looking to see if we had anything. We don't have anything from 2024 for rural versus urban, but we do have up to 2023. I suppose just after these latest stats, the overall stats were released, we'll soon have a breakout like this. But what I found was the latest stats up to 2023. Rural areas, especially remote or northern areas, face higher crime severity and frequency than urban centers. Yeah. Crime is not uniform. Yeah. Crime is not uniform across rural areas. A few hotspot communities with exceptionally high crime rates skew averages. Many rural areas do remain relatively peaceful. Rural crime profiles show older offenders and fewer youthful perpetrators compared to cities, highlighting the different social dynamics. And certain property crimes remain urban issues. It underscores the importance of context in crime discussions. And I found that really interesting because, of course, with fewer people in rural areas and just the tranquility of rural areas, you would think that the crime rates would be almost non-existent in those areas.
Yeah.
But apparently that's not the case. And when you think about it, Eddie, like, okay, go back to a couple of years ago when the guy, I forget what he was, from Halifax, but he had a home in rural Nova Scotia. And he went on the shooting spree. He had restored a Mountie cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
He went on the shooting spree
Right.
and killed all of those people in rural areas. And then, there have been out west on the prairies, a number of issues in rural areas. And usually it seems that they involve guns, like the weapon of choice.
Right.
But here's the thing: the crime rates are. Oh, and I just wanted to go back to one other thing in last year's stats about the motor vehicle thefts down 17%. If you recall, about a year ago, the federal government and through its public service ministry pushed the RCMP and pushed all police forces, especially in Quebec and Ontario area and at the ports, to in a bid to cut down on the car thefts. And obviously that push has been successful because in a year they're down 17% already. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm the number of containers that they have opened up and seized, you know, the number of vehicles that were headed overseas, just amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing. So, yeah. Now, nonviolent crime, property and drug offenses down 6%. And, you know, police reported crime, the, you know, severe types of crime down 4% in the, you know, last year. But yet, you ask the average person, what do you think? Do you feel safer? And the average person is going to, you know, $1 to a donut, as they would say, no, I don't feel safer. I have all of these home security systems in place and everything else. Mm-hmm. I feel safe on the streets here. I'm sure there are certain neighborhoods I haven't been to yet, but every city has, you know, a neighborhood or a section, the pockets where, you know, unless you're from there, don't go there, kind of thing, because you know you stand out as like you have a sign, I'm a target, hit me.
Yeah, you know, I've lived here my whole life in Montreal, Gary, and quite honestly, I've never thought twice about walking down a particular street. There's one neighborhood in particular that I think I would be careful of, but 95%, 98% of the time, I wouldn't even have a second thought walking down a street here in Montreal. I as a citizen, as a Quebecer, and as a Montrealer, I genuinely feel safe here. I really do. I've traveled all over the country. And I genuinely feel safe walking through most streets in our major cities here in Canada. So, I do feel safe. I mean, you know, I know there are some circumstances and situations where you're going to have domestic violence and domestic crimes, which are absolutely unacceptable and in themselves crimes. But if we're talking about street crime where I'd be assaulted or accosted walking through a street, I feel pretty safe. I mean, look, you know, from time to time you'll hear about a fight in front of a bar or a stabbing and so on, which by the way I think is on the increase in Montreal. You hear about Toronto, a lot of increased shootings there and increased violence. So, you know, does that scare me from walking down downtown Toronto through the streets? No, not at all. Compared to some of the major cities in the United States, I think where you know, we pale in comparison to questioning whether or not I should walk through a neighborhood in most American cities. So I feel pretty good here in Canada, in Montreal especially. And it's nice to hear yourself, a New Brunswicker coming here and saying you feel relatively safe. So it's refreshing to hear.
Well, I do, and you know, I've been out at all hours, and like, am I vigilant? Absolutely. Was I vigilant when I walked home at, you know, in St. John? Absolutely. Feeling safe. But being smart while feeling safe and being aware of what's going on around you. It doesn't matter if, you know, if it's crime related, or it could be all of a sudden somebody, you know, there's involved in a crash on the street and a car goes rolling across the street. If you're not paying attention to your surroundings, chances are if you're in the path of that rolling vehicle, you're going to get whacked by the vehicle. Or if you have a lone wolf attack on a busy street, you know, that's the biggest thing. And again, and you've heard me say this, Eddie, so many times, you know, you have people walking down the street like this.
Oh, yeah.
With their phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They have no idea. They have no idea what's going on around them. They don't even see you. Like, just in the last 2 or 3 days, including out here on the canal, I've been walking along and somebody's coming on. And if I didn't move, they would have bounced off me, and then looked at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" No,
No, you're right. You have to be aware.
You have to be aware
of your surroundings, and don't be an idiot.
Exactly.
Don't advertise that you're an idiot because somebody will find you. You just can be aware of your surroundings, right?
Exactly. Now, Deborah brings up the point. I think most women are in more danger in their homes than on the street. In domestic violence, absolutely. Absolutely. And where are we here? Oh, Monel weighs in with, yeah, Eddie, you are a guy. I disagree. If I'm alone, I am forever looking over my shoulder. Well, okay, truly. But Monel, you're looking over your shoulder. Is it because you are afraid, or is it because you're just trying to be aware, or a combination? I'd like to get your thought on that. Because when I say I'm aware, it's not because I'm afraid or I'm fearful. And Rosa says, same here, Monel. So, and again, Rosa too, like you're afraid, and so you're being extra vigilant, or are you aware and being, just trying to be aware of your surroundings? Like, I know it's a very fine line, but I'm just curious, because when I say I'm aware, but it's not out of fear, it's just I want to be aware. Mm-hmm. And I guess Deborah says I'm nosy too, but anyway. So
more aware.
Yeah, more aware, she says. Yeah. Okay. And that's not a bad thing. Yeah.